Hey everyone, welcome. It's Wednesday. I'm getting confused by this whole kind of Monday and Wednesday thing because I'm used to Mondays, and now we've started doing a few on Wednesday. So good to see you, everyone. Hope you are having a great week so far, halfway through. And as you'll see, I'm joined tonight by the wonderful, enigmatic Gary King. Hello, Gary King.
Hi.
How are you?
Yeah, very good. Yourself?
Yeah, we're all right, actually. I think we've borrowed your northern weather, though.
It's grim up north, right?
Is it grim up north today?
Do you know what? It's been cloudy all day,
Right.
bit misty, but not too
Yeah.
bad. It's been glorious crimson sunset this evening.
Has it? Very nice.
Amazing.
I like that. I like a nice sunset. It's
Yes.
been rubbish here today. Weather's been awful. It's been peeing with rain all day. So I hope wherever you've been, folks, you've been able to find a little bit of sunshine in your life. And I'm actually going to share, apart from my kind of right high up there ranking in my excitement is being on here with you tonight, Gary. I have to say my greatest excitement today is that we are counting down to our holiday, which is in 10 days.
10 days.
Actually 11 days we go on holiday. So that is a big source of excitement for me. And for anybody that wants to share their main source of excitement today, put it in the comments. I'd love to know what's really excited you today. What's got your juices flowing? Gary King, what's got your juices flowing today?
69 days to Christmas.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. 7 weeks yesterday.
I don't believe it's you that's holding that information. Someone's reminding you.
I think a small-legged person that was sat next to me in the car last night wondering about what he was going to get from Santa Claus.
On the countdown already, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so look, folks, we've got some of you will know Gary, some of you will have no clue. Gary is I think you've got quite a reputation up north, haven't you, in Yorkshire?
Yes,
you're the go-to man. Everyone knows you. You're a massive connector of people. You're renowned for the business advice that you give. People come to you for advice, seek you out for answers.
Yes.
I'm sure you're one of the most connected people I know. I always see you on LinkedIn hooking someone up with someone else. I love the way you kind of just fuse people and fuse ideas.
That's what I do, yes.
And you come with a kind of a very real perspective. So you're very authentic. You only teach stuff that you have experience of, that you've got results from. And of course, I guess that means that along the way you go through the pain, you acquire the scars, and all the learning that comes with it. So it kind of ends up with the real deal. That's what you are. Gary King is the real deal.
Thank you. Yeah, do you know what? I think that connection piece is just part of who I am, but I think you can only teach from your experience. I think there's a lack of authenticity if you're teaching from a book and passing yourself on as an expert. Yeah, I think for me, a lot of what I'm about is passing on the benefits of my experience so the small business owners don't make those same mistakes.
We are playing in that space a bit, though, aren't we? Where actually you can be an expert overnight. You can go on a course, you can read a book, and suddenly people are setting up businesses as the master of X. And it's quite hard to cut through and work out who's legit. And you can build a kick-ass website that people are seduced by. You can build a great marketing campaign, but there's nothing behind it.
Yeah, and look, we've all seen these experts online that are driving around in Bentleys at 18 years old, claiming that they're going to make you $1 million next week. We've seen those. We've all come across those franchisees that have worked in a bank for 30 years and spent the redundancy money on a franchise, and all of a sudden they're now a business expert.
Yeah.
And look, that's the reality of the world. We've got to compete with those people. We've just got to figure out how we're going to stand head and shoulders above those in a saturated market.
Yeah. Part of that is that authenticity piece, right? I think people sniff it out in the end. I do believe it comes around and it stands the test of time, and people ultimately track you down and will keep coming back to you. They may go for the advice that seems a bit cheaper or a bit flashier or a bit quicker, and actually they have to learn by their pain too, don't they? Getting it wrong.
Yeah, do you know what? I think people have got to make their own choices, whether it be on kind of cost or price or whatever it might be. But I think ultimately there's got to be something in there about delivering results and putting a guarantee in place. You know, we offer a full money back guarantee with all the mentoring we do, because we believe in putting our money where our mouth is. And for me, reputation is everything. You know, if you take a piece of work that you're not going to deliver value because you need the paycheck, and we're going to obviously talk about kind of why small business owners get into financial difficulties. And if you take work on because you need the paycheck and you can't or won't deliver value, ultimately that's going to damage your reputation.
Of course it is.
And it's going to impact you in the long term.
Yeah, it is for sure. We don't know what people. I don't think people always know that when they're making those decisions, those quick decisions. But again, it's part of the learning, right? We sometimes have to experience that to discover it. So we are talking about, you know, why money causes entrepreneurs stress. Why it can be such a root of stress. You know, I talk a lot in my group about mental health conditions and stress and anxiety, and we know that money comes real high up the list of those things that cause people that kind of pain. So before we jump into the questions, for those that don't know anything about you, give us a few headlines about you, what you do and why you do what you do.
Yeah, my dad was a serial entrepreneur. My dad's done anything from selling cranes to digging machines to driving coaches to running a pub to being a draftsman to opening a restaurant, a cafe, you name it, my dad's done it. And I love my dad to bits, and he's a huge inspiration and a huge motivation for me. But you know, he's retired now and he doesn't have too much money. And that's probably because he had loads of ideas, but he didn't execute always very well. I spent 23 years, the last 10 years of which were in a FTSE 100 business. And I've spent all my career mentoring managers, graduates, people from other businesses. And I've always loved that, passing on that experience and that knowledge and guiding people. So when I got an opportunity in 2010, a couple of years into the recession, to set up on my own, I guess it was the inspiration from my dad not succeeding too much, seeing lots of small business owners, friends, family around me failing. And I thought, what a great time to start a business to help small business owners that were struggling. Was 2 years into a recession where they were struggling. So that was a real purpose for me, because seeing 60% of small business owners not get to the 5-year mark, you know, the whole thing that drives me is just changing that dial. If I can change that dial a couple of percent, then I'm serving my market space. And that's really what's driven me for 8 years now, Richard. So if I can just impact a handful of small business owners to not fail and to succeed and to have the financial rewards that they wanted when they set out in business, to build a business that they're proud of, that allows them to serve their family, then I'm getting out of this what I want out of it. So whether it's a combination of strategy or mentoring or marketing or whatever it may be, I'm about supporting those small business owners to make better and different decisions so they're earning more money, working less hours, and serving their family and their staff better.
Nice. And that purpose so translates into what you do. I know we've spent time together, and that that purpose is very genuine and very heartfelt, and kind of is driving your choices you make every day, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
Look, so there is a huge amount of research into entrepreneurs, and it shows that many suffer from anxiety, depression, other diagnosable mental health conditions as a result of their money worries. So money worries sit for many of them right at the heart of the problems they face. Why is this? Why are entrepreneurs finding themselves with money problems?
I think there's a number of reasons there. And if I can just break the 3 or 4 obvious ones down. Most small business owners in the UK are technician business owners. So they're a marketing qualified person that's been a marketing director. They're now set up and running a marketing agency or a photography business or a coaching business or whatever. The problem with that is they're very, very good at marketing or photography, but they've not been taught how to run a business. They've not been taught how to do some of the basics around finance. And they don't know what they don't know. So they don't know what they need to be doing. They don't know what they need to be putting in place. So it's a lack of knowledge and experience because they've gone from being a technician in another business to setting up on their own. And if I come back to this purpose bit, if I use that marketing director example that set up a marketing agency, they want to be doing marketing all day. The reality is that when they get a year or 2 years in, that they're hiring, they're firing, they're doing the bookkeeping, the accounting, the networking, the proposals. They're actually doing everything that comes with running a business. But what they're only doing 40% of the time is marketing. The other 60% of the time, they're not in front of customers, they're not marketing, so they'll lose the passion and the mojo for what they do. But on the days that they're not in front of customers earning money, they're actually spending money. And because they're spending money 3 days a week and earning money 2 days a week, because that statistically is 40% of small business owners are only doing what they love. Business owners are only doing what they love 40% of the time. It means they're spending money more than they're earning money, so they run out. There's too much month left at the end of the money. Then they go and get an accountant which can give them support in this area, but they don't know what to ask for. So what they finish up asking for is some accountancy support, but what the accountants do is what accountants have been doing 20 years. They do the compliance stuff. And either they don't say to the business owner, you need a cash flow forecast, you need to understand your profitability, you need to segment your products, your services, your customers. Either because the business owner is buying accountancy on cost rather than value, or the accountant isn't pushing the stuff that they think the business owner needs. So you've got a lack of awareness and knowledge compounded by an expert not giving them the awareness and knowledge sometimes, or the business owner not prepared to pay for it, on top of a business owner that's now spending more than they're earning. And all of these factors just compound.
And do you think there's a point where that does hit most people? Do you think it's like a 2-year mark where that compounds and comes together?
I often say it's 2 years, because what happens is you set up that business with all the enthusiasm and all the will and all the excitement, and probably even a little bit of cash in the bank from your redundancy check or your savings account or wherever the money's come from. And you set off with all this great enthusiasm and all these great ideas. When you get 2 years in, the money's run out. So you're having to try and live off the money that the business is generating. But at that point, that's when you're doing everything. That's when you're doing the hiring and the firing and the bookkeeping. And you're doing all this other stuff that nobody told you about at business school. Nobody told you about at company's house when you set out. And it's certainly for me, I think I was 2.5 years in. My relationship had broken down because of the hours I was working and the pressure I was under. And it was actually 1 o'clock in the morning. I was sat in my office and it was adjacent to my bedroom. It was like a big open plan. And I was doing my expenses claims. I had 6 months worth of expenses claims to do. So I had 6 months of envelopes, had 6 months of travel. So there I was Googling the return mileage from Leeds to Blackburn on the 1st of the month, for Google to tell me how many miles it was, for me to stick it in a spreadsheet. And then I'd fill that in for the rest of the month, and I'd be typing all my invoices in and how much was VAT and how much wasn't, and some were expenses and some were entertaining, and then it never reconcile. And I'm thinking, why the hell am I doing this? Why the hell am I spending 3 hours while beyond 1 o'clock in the morning doing expenses? There's got to be a better way. And I rang my accountant the next day and said, I've just spent 3-4 hours doing these expenses claims that are 6 months overdue. Can you not do this? And he said, well, yeah, I can. I said, why don't you? He said, because you never asked me. I was like, yeah, but I never asked you because I didn't know that was an option. Surely it's incumbent upon you as the expert to come into my business and tell me what I need. No, he said, it don't work like that in my world. And that was one of the critical points for me, where I realized that I was spending time doing stuff I didn't love that could be done by an expert, which meant the next day I was exhausted because I was working while 1-2 o'clock in the morning. And I was just trapped in this cycle. That was 2 years in.
Well, why do you think, why does money cause such a trap for people in business, do you think? I know there's a bit, I was just thinking that as you were talking about kind of money, I was thinking about the beliefs we hold about money. Lots of us hold very different beliefs in our relationship with money generally in life. And I don't think we are brilliant. Maybe schools are better now at educating children around their relationship with money and what money means and what's modeled for them by parents and what we see modeled for us in society about money. And there's some weird shit, right, with money. But I think that there is a part about our relationship with it. But what do you think some of the other traps are that cause people to get stuck with their money issues in a business?
I think lack of education is one. You know, I don't think I think you were alluding to it there. I don't think we're particularly good as a nation financially with money from a personal perspective. And therefore, when we go from poor management, financial management in a personal perspective, when we go into business, we adopt some of the same behaviors. I think part of it is expecting that next month's going to be better than this month. I think, you know, a lot of small business owners, they can't forecast, they can't plan, they don't have a plan. Now, I was listening to some stats this week that said less than 10% of small business owners actually have a plan or a strategy. That means 90% plus of small business owners are just winging it.
Blind optimism.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope next month's going to be a better month. I think that those opportunities will come through next month. So what they do is they blindly go on spending money, hoping that the sales are going to come in to fund the expenditure this month. And then I think if I add to that as well, I think there's a massive issue, and it comes from the personal side of thing around peer pressure. I see, and I hear this all the time. You know, I was getting involved in a conversation online earlier this week about when small business owners say, I can't afford that. Is that an excuse or is that the reality? I see people quite happy to spend £2,000 on a watch that they don't need, that doesn't tell them any better time than a £200 watch, but they won't invest £2,000 in getting some training or some support or some coaching and mentoring for the business. They'll spend £2,000 on a computer they don't need, but then they'll scrimp and scrape on an accountant that can help them with some pretty sound advice. And I think I was guilty of that a little bit in the first stages of business because I had the money, so I go out and spend the money. But I think there becomes a time, both personally and professionally, where you go, do you know what? I don't need to spend that money on that to impress somebody. What I need to do is spend the money here to grow the business so I'm financially stable.
Yeah. But a big part of that is education, isn't it? People just don't know that, and that ability to, and the courage that it takes actually to plan ahead. Because I think that takes some courage too, to actually to face the reality of our day-to-day business and lack of cash flow, and that there isn't a pipeline, and that. So it's easy just to kind of go blindly, and at some point you're going to hit a wall.
But isn't this a challenge that, you know, for you to be allowed on the road in a vehicle, you need to pass a pretty comprehensive driving test. You don't need to have any kind of test to run a business. So you can be let loose, taking money from people, spending money with people, employing people, signing up to contracts.
Yeah.
Without any experience or any qualifications of any description. And that should be a worry, shouldn't it?
Yeah, frightening, really. I've never thought of it like that, but yeah.
There's 6 million small business owners in the UK. There's, what's the stat? 1,500 small businesses being registered every single day in the UK. Every day, 1,500. 60% of those are not going to get to the 5-year mark. So 1,500 businesses registered today, nearly 1,100 of those are going to fail within the first 5 years, and tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after.
So I know along the way, so you talked about your kind of 1 o'clock scenario, and you called your accountant and you made some step change. What are the biggest changes you have made within your business in order to get financial freedom?
There's two big changes for me that occurred at about the same time, actually. One is actually getting myself a mentor. And it was a massive step for me, because as a proud man, admitting that I couldn't achieve everything I wanted to achieve by myself and getting some expert help, to really swallow my pride. And it was a big investment for me to make at a time when I didn't have significant funds to afford an investment of that nature. And I'm talking 5 figures I spent over the first year with my mentor. But he changed my mindset overnight. I pretty much quadrupled my prices. Within a year, I doubled the amount of time I was customer facing. I'd completely tipped my business model on its head. So literally within a matter of weeks, I transformed the way that I thought, the way that I delivered, the way that I priced, the way that I engaged with customers. So I went from, if I talk about that 1 o'clock scenario, I was working 6 days a week. My son was 10 years old. He played football and he trained midweek on a local football pitch. And when I was in corporate, I was working about 5 or 6 miles away from him. And every week at the beginning of the week, he says, "Daddy, you're going to come and watch me train on Thursday?" And every week I said, "I'm going to do my very best, son." But because of the pressures I was under in a corporate role, I never got to see. I think I watched him train twice in 2 years. That broke my heart in a lot of ways. And I could see that even though he said, "It's okay, Dad, I understand," I could see that it broke his heart too. When I sat out in business, I thought, you know what, this is going to be a walk in the park. I said, you know what, it's going to be a lot easier now. And in the first couple of years, I think I only saw him train again a handful of times, because I was always doing my expenses, writing proposals, dealing with my emails. Once I'd made that step change after getting a mentor, I went from working, I was customer facing 2.5 days a week, working a 6-day week, just to give you an idea on the ratio. Within a year, I was working 4 days a week and customer facing 3 days a week. So I've gone from 40% of my time delivering to 75% of my time delivering. One of the benefits of that is I watched him train at football pretty much most weeks thereafter. It gave me choice. It gave me freedom. At the same time as that,
the mentor was one.
The mentor was one. At the same time as that, one of the things that I discussed with him was what was actually tying my time up when I wasn't customer facing. And I did an analysis of everything that was taking my time up, from driving a 100-mile round trip to work with a client, to writing proposals, to doing expenses claims, to the amount of time I was sat dealing with my emails and scheduling appointments. And we realized pretty quickly that there was a whole bunch of stuff that I was doing that could be done by a PA. And again, because I didn't know what I didn't know, I wasn't even aware that a PA was, I thought a PA was something that an MD of a 300 million turnover business had, not that an MD of a, 6-figure turnover business could have. So we talked about finding an expert that was actually passionate about doing the stuff that I wasn't passionate about, that could do it for a fraction of the money that I was losing because I wasn't customer facing. And again, it was an expense that I really struggled to justify. But what I did is I set myself a budget. I said, in the first month, I'm going to spend, I think the PA at the time was £200 for 10 hours, so £20 an hour. Could that PA free up enough time for me in the month that I could do one more client delivery session? And would that client delivery session earn me more than the £200 I was spending? And the answer was yes. So in the first month, I spent 200 and freed up 10 hours time. And I did one more client delivery slot, which earned me more than 200, which paid for the PA and left me money to spare. And I was working less hours because I wasn't doing all this admin stuff. So the month after I spent 300, the month after I spent 400, and so on and so forth. And that's one of the ways over the course of the first year I could go from working a 6-day week to a 4-day week. I use my PA somewhere between 50 and 60 hours a month now. That's spending topside of £1,000. But that's 50 to 60 hours a month I'm no longer working. It's 50 to 60 hours I can spend more working on the business if I choose to. Or 50 to 60 hours, which is, if you think about it, 60 hours is 15 hours a week. It's 2 days. It's an extra time that I can spend with my family. It's an extra, it means I can take weekends off. It means I can go watch my football team play. It means I can go do the school run. It gives me choice. So hiring myself a good quality mentor that delivered results and a good quality PA that could take the pressure off me were probably the two biggest, wisest decisions I've made in 8 years.
And what I hear you say in there, which I think is a really important piece, is that, as you've just alluded to, a lot of people will go, I can't afford that, and it's too. I'm not ready yet to take on a PA or have a mentor. But actually, what you've done in both cases is to sit down and work out almost the deal you do with yourself, the financial deal, and the consequences of that, but also the benefits of that. And I think that that little bit of analysis that goes, hang on, I'm going to spend this much, it's going to get me back this, and that gives me a really clear deadline to work to kind of to make that extra money, to make more than that. And that's a really important piece that I think a lot of people don't spend the time to actually just map out, because I think they'd have a real light bulb moment if they did.
Return on investment. And, you know, one of the things I got before I actually chose to work with this mentor, I actually spent a day in his company at an event. I must have downloaded something and finished up at one of his events in London, which was a pretty low ticket price item. But to that point, I think I had a little bit of imposter syndrome. Am I right for this? I'm working all these hours. I'm not earning the money. I'm stressed. My relationship's failing. Am I good at this? Should I go get a job? You know, was I good enough? Was I good enough to be surrounded by all these people that on social media were seemingly successful? By spending a day with him and 99 other business owners in a room, I realized that there were all these people that I saw and admired on social media that were no better than me. They had the same issues, the same challenges as me. Maybe they weren't as successful in real life as they appeared to be. But you know what? I was sat on the train coming back from London thinking, I'm just as good, if not better than these people. And it gave me a real kind of lift. You know, that this whole thing about if you're the wisest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, or you are the person that you surround yourself with. It just gave me that confidence overnight that I could compete and in fact be better than some of these people. It got rid of those issues overnight.
So we've got mentor, we've got the looking at how you're spending your time and finding other ways for that time to be used and getting resourcing. That's about building the tribe, and the ROI piece that we need to do on that to work out what we're going to get back from it. But it feels like that, you know, what you're talking about a lot is actually the more, again, we surround ourselves with the right type of people, the more and that tribe is important to us, isn't it? Because being an entrepreneur and setting up your own business, whether you have a team or not, it's still quite a lonely place. So getting that support is important in whatever form that comes in.
Yeah, look, I think it's the people that you surround yourself with, both personally and professionally, and the people that you engage. You know, I taught there, the accountant that I alluded to did a fantastic job for me for the first 2 or 3 years. They really did. But there became a time when my requirements had outgrown their capability. Not because they'd done anything wrong particularly, but because my knowledge at that point, because when I started out, I didn't know what I didn't know, I picked up knowledge along the way that said, right, I now need this, I need this, I need this. And they were unable to step up to the plate. So I changed accountants. What we do, though, often is we hang on to a relationship. We hang on to an employee. We hang on to a service provider. We hang on to a customer that are no longer good for us through loyalty, misplaced loyalty. And at the end of the day, we've got to do what's right for us. If an employee is no longer right for us, they don't fit for whatever reason, if a service provider has passed their sell-by date or a customer has become toxic, you've got to have the confidence to know when to cut your losses and to move on. So getting the right accountant, the right mentor, the right PA, the right marketing agency, getting the right people around you that understand you and can deliver results is fundamental.
So you've already given us a ton of ideas and input, and if you could give your top piece of advice, because there'll be people watching that are small business owners that are thinking of kind of starting to play that game themselves, what's your top piece of advice to help them manage, stay out of that money trap, but also if they're in it, get out of the money trap?
Yeah, good one. I think first of all, you've got to have a plan and a forecast. You know, there's a reason that a rear view mirror is this size and a windscreen's this size. And what most small business owners do is they look at what happened the previous month at the end of the month at best. Some bookkeeping systems might take you 2 or 3 months to get that visibility. But if you're looking at what happened in September at the beginning of October, you can't influence September anymore. So what that small business owner does is says, never mind, October will be better. But if you can put a system in place that predicts what you're going to bill and what profit you're going to generate in October, November, December, January, all of a sudden you've got some future visibility. At that point, you can decide whether you can afford it or not. And if you can't, you can now influence the results you're going to get, because the activity that you undertake now is going to influence December and January sales results. Looking at it after the event isn't going to. So if you can do it yourself, do it. If you can't, find yourself a good quality accountant or advisor that can help you, but have some future predictability of your revenue, of your profitability, and of your cash generation. If it's not good enough, do something about it. Now, one of the ways that you can do that once you've got that process in place is then start to look at your products and your pricing and your revenue streams and your business model. So all the things that influence you generating more income. So a good entrepreneur will earn income from 3 or 4 different income streams, because if one goes slightly soft for whatever reason, they've still got income coming in from other areas. We're targeting at the moment, by the end of 2019, that 80% of our income will be generated through passive means. And if we can do that, not only does it mean that we're not having to work a ton of hours to earn the money and go through this cycle that we talk about, it also gives us a level of predictability, because we know every single month that amount of income is coming in from online courses, etc., etc. So that takes the pressure away, both from the amount of hours you need to work and from a financial perspective.
Okay. Nice. And you, I mean, you run a lot of stuff yourself. I know you do boot camps and you do workshops and you retreats, and I know you mentor people. So how do people connect with you and learn more about what you offer? What's the best way?
Well, one of they can connect with me online, Gary King. That's pretty straightforward on LinkedIn. We've set up and we've been running a Facebook group for about 6 or 7 months called Business Squad. And Business Squad it's an online community for small business owners you talked earlier about, it's quite lonely. Business Squad's a place where you can build relationships, connect. It's a place where you can talk about your challenges and your issues and frustrations to get some answers and some support. It's a place where you can celebrate your success. So just find Business Squad. I think we've hit the 1,400 mark this week, which since February is a pretty great result for us. We're absolutely overwhelmed with it, but it's just a great engaged community for people to connect and not feel lonely. Now, one of the things that we are talking about in Business Squad, and it's what we've found really from building that community, Richard, and it's what I found from the years I've been working with small business owners, this kind of running out of money scenario and this relationship with money, if most small business owners could earn an extra 5K a month, it would transform their whole business. It would transform them personally. It would, this mental health and worry and stress, lack of sleep. An extra 5K a month is going to solve all of those problems. So one of the things that we're running next month is a workshop to help small business owners earn an extra 5K. Going back to that point earlier around credibility and standing out from the crowd, we run that 5K workshop, but we offer a full money back guarantee. And I rarely hear that phrase when I'm talking to mentors and coaches and consultants. So we're running this workshop to say, we'll help you earn an extra 5K, which in a lot of ways is going to transform their financial fortunes. But we say, if you implement everything that we agree on the course in 90 days and you don't earn an extra 5K, we'll give you your money back. And it's
true, putting your money where your mouth is.
That's the only way that we operate. We ran a boot camp last month, 49 quid for a full day. And we stood up and said, thank you for choosing us amongst 28,000 other people you could have spent your time and money with. If you don't get value from today, come to me at the front afterwards. I'll give you £50 notes in your pocket. It's the only thing that we do. Everything we do, money back. So connect with us on Business Squad, and if 5K is of interest to anybody, they can find the details there.
Okay, I think we've popped all the links in there already, folks. So you should see all the links in the comments. Yeah, see, they're already there. The 5K workshop's there. Business Squad, it's already there. It's like systems, Gary, systems. You got the right systems in place for people to put all those comments in.
Yes, absolutely.
I've done it all hands-free whilst I've been talking to you.
It's the magic person.
The magic person. She's using magic.
Yeah.
So I'm just checking to see if we got any. We got comments. We got a lot of people agreeing with what you're saying, and when is my correct marketeer learning as they go now as a business owner? Yeah, Paul was commenting earlier on your kind of whole idea of the marketing person, that he's got a new client that he's working with in marketing, a great marketeer, and learning as they go along now as a business owner, because it has to be a much broader view, doesn't it? A much broader perspective of the world, not just marketing.
Yeah, do you know what? Yeah, and this return on investment's really key. Doesn't matter whether it's a consultant, a coach, a mentor. It doesn't matter whether it's a VA. I've set up a marketing agency of my own on the back of spending tens of thousands of pounds in marketing agencies, but they didn't really ever talk about return on investment. And when you get to the end of a campaign and go, right, let's review the results, and it hasn't delivered what was set out, it was always their fault. And I thought, there's got to be a better way. I think small business owners, I've got a real issue with small business owners being conned by people taking money off them and not delivering results, knowing they can't deliver results. So I've set up a marketing agency, which is 2 years old next month, from that very premise. And when a client comes to us now and starts to talk about what they need from a marketing point of view, and we can't articulate what a return on investment looks like, we say we're not the right client for you because we can't guarantee we can deliver it. And we walk away.
You are, as I said, from the very start, you're authentic. You kind of that whole legacy piece that you leave. And I know people come to you not just for your knowledge, but they do come to you for your reputation and knowing that they, what it says on the tin they're going to get. And if they can't get it, then you're going to be having that conversation with them. So it's good. We need a few more Gary Kings in the world.
I'm trying.
Are you? Right, bless you. You're a star. You're a complete gent for joining us. Thank you so much, folks. You know where you can connect with Gary now. Check out his boot camps and the 5K workshop and the retreats. There's a ton of stuff on there. And Gary, I know you've got a crazy busy time, so thank you for your time tonight. Enjoy getting back to your family now and as life goes on, but also over the next few weeks, I hope all the stuff goes really well for you.
My pleasure. You're very welcome. And if anybody's got any questions relating to tonight's topic, I'm sure you'll be pinning this on your page. Stick a question in there, and I'm quite happy to answer that over the next few days.
Cool. Yeah, you'll find Gary in the BTFI group as well, so you can ping questions there if you don't go and track him down in his own group. Absolutely. So Gary, thank you very much. Folks, thank you for tuning in. Next week, it will be a quick live on the Monday, direct from the windy city itself of Chicago. So I'm there all next week. So I'll be online for a live at some point when I'm awake, whenever that will be. See you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.